Hello, Avaiya family. I'm Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of Avaiya University. Avaiya is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our fellow teacher, Dr. Lisa Cooney, is back with us today to talk about lifting depression and loneliness, a ROAR method solution. Dr. Lisa is an author, a doctor of psychology, and licensed therapist who has been practicing for more than 20 years. She is a highly qualified holistic practitioner with extensive experience as a marriage and family therapist and a unique ability to integrate Eastern and Western psychological approaches. Dr. Lisa demonstrates in-depth knowledge in fields of individual, family, and group therapy, clinical relationships, addictions, mind-body issues, LGBTQ, and codependency. Welcome back to Avaiya, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you so much, Andy. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm really glad to see or to hear or to be heard and seen by the community again. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, so great to see you, Dr. Cooney, and I'm so excited today. And we also have a special guest on today that we're going to introduce in just a bit as we get rolling. So, let's start off with what are the 5 questions of what you call the ROAR method?
Okay, thank you for that. So I'm going to do something different, everyone today. Antonietta has graciously volunteered, all releases signed. So she knows it's going to be passed around the world. Woo-hoo, healing, vulnerability. Thank you, Antonietta. For me to demonstrate the ROAR method. I know this virtual summit is about overcoming loneliness and depression. And the ROAR method is a trademark method that I created as I've been in the field of mental health for the last 30 years. When I kept seeing the same things happening over and over again, I just put it into a 5-question process. And maybe not in the beginning, but now it's pretty easy. And so I really want everybody to know that no matter what emotions come over you, you can still move beyond them and move with them by using the ROAR method solution. So here it is in a nutshell. 1, there's an event in the today that bothers you, triggers you, enrages you, and gets you all heated and upset and off your game. Sometimes the situations don't match that reaction. And most times, that's where the ROAR method solution comes in. You can't 2 days, 3 days, 4 days later, and you're still spinning, right? In depressive dark thoughts, lonely dark thoughts, relationship issue, what your boss said to you, what your husband said to you, whatever. So the first question to ask is what's happening right now, which actually tells you to stop and pause. Most people don't do that, and then they react and they spew their depression, loneliness, and whatever on someone else. So what I first started doing was pausing people, postpone action until serenity exists, the pause. And then I would ask them, what's happening right now? Put your hands on your body. Tell me what those places would say if they could speak. And then I would stay with them for a couple minutes there. And then what happens next, which you'll see in the example with Antonietta, is then we take those same feelings after they've been processed in the present and track them back to some unknown time in the past, usually an earlier age, less than 10, let's say. But you never know what it is. And then I ask you some questions about that situation. And then that younger self, put your hands on your body, but it's the same you. And you start talking from that space, that age, and the emotions there. And right there, you made a decision. And that decision is what keeps you in what I call the cage of abuse. If you feel caged by your depression and loneliness, if you're in untreatable, treatment-resistant depression is a big phrase out there right now and a big diagnosis and really real. Sometimes I've seen some great benefits for people that have been diagnosed with treatment-resistant depression to come into a session with me and do this ROAR method to find out what they decided in the past that is actually influencing their depression and loneliness in the present. So what did you decide about yourself then? And so, since we're past the ego and the subconscious, the subconscious will just give you that information, and I help with some examples. And then it's processing that and coming out into your adult self again, resolving the past situation, merging the present situation, but with a question of, okay, what will you do to change this now? What have you learned? What are you aware of? Where can you go? Because the thing, Andy and Avaiya University, and you all know this, and everybody out there who experiences depression and loneliness, sometimes you just have to wait it out until it goes away, right? This actually lets you lean into it, process through it, move with it, and stay connected to yourself and move forward, not necessarily procrastinating or not doing your life. So I said a lot with one question.
Yes. Well, that is great news for people who are watching in the Avaiya community right now who do struggle with that. If they resonate with what you said about sometimes you just have to wait it out. Maybe people go through periods of time where they experience that really bad depression or loneliness. And yes, we'd love to see an example of how you help people address that in the moment as opposed to having to wait it out.
Yeah, exactly. And, I learned this myself, not just practicing on people. I actually learned it with myself first. There were many a time in my early 20s where I was really fraught with a lot of depression and loneliness, and I didn't really know what it was. And it was not comfortable. And I was curled up on the floor, on the carpet in the bathroom. I'll never forget it. Just in the fetal position, shaking, wondering what to do. And I thought that I was, pretty resourceful and had a lot of training and education, but sometimes it doesn't matter how much training and education you have. Those issues can be serious, and what they're connected to is the answer to move you beyond it, if you're willing to go there. It's just that in that moment, it's quite painful. So let me give you an example of this too. As I say, become your own inner physician. You can do this and write these questions down for yourself if you're listening out there. As I say them. So you have it. It's 5 questions. What is happening right now? Where do I feel that in my body? I'll say these again. Where have I felt something like this before? What did I decide about me? And what will I do to change this? 5 questions. And this is where our super important guest, Antonietta, comes in. So you can unmute yourself, please, dear. Thank you for volunteering.
Yes.
And I've already told Antonietta and Andy that I'm going to be pretty direct, pretty sharp, and pretty movement oriented in my facilitation here, because I know there's a time limit and attention spans, and I really want you to show you how things move. So they already know if I go, Antonietta especially, if I go, no thoughts, just say what you were going to say. I'm not being rude. Set it up beforehand. This is just for the experience. When we're like an hour session, I have a little bit more time to play around, but here I just want to show you how to remove yourself from the cage of abuse. And what I mean by that is any limitation, any feeling, any thought, any consideration, any idea that is not beneficial to your forward momentum and your enjoying life in the moment, today, now, and moving forward. Okay, Antonietta, what is your situation? What's the issue that you've come for session today?
So I feel actually alone, and I cannot speak actually. So and okay, I
So
feel
you
alone.
feel alone, right?
Yes, and I also feel a lot of sadness when I recall a situation in my family that was 20 years ago. So I keep remembering this situation in my head, and it is like my parents having a lot of discussion, and they quarreled a lot.
Discussion about what? Discussion about what?
About money issues and about their relationship actually. And the thing is that they had like a safe box in our house, and only 2 people in the house knew how to open the safe box with the money inside. So, and the 2 people were my father and me. My father taught me how to do that, and he also told me never open that. So my parents fight. They were in a big discussion. My father left home, and after that my mother came to me and said, you open the box. So it is like I keep remembering this situation, and I was like,
your mother said to you, thank you for that. Your mother said to you, you open the box, meaning go open it, or was she kind of insinuating that you opened it without her knowing?
she asked me to open that.
Okay,
So it's
open it. That's fine.
like
I just
an
didn't.
order.
Yeah, I understand. When your mom tells you to do something, you do it. I'm just asking because sometimes English and Mexican English could be interpreted a little different. So I know you're from Mexico, so I just wanted to make sure I got the right story. Okay, so close your eyes for a moment. So what is happening right now? She's telling us that she's thinking about the situation 20 years ago. How many of you are feeling depressed and lonely because you're thinking about a situation that happened 20 years ago? A lot of times it's the past that ruminates in our mind, and that creates the loneliness and the depression and the route in our circuitry, the route in our circuitry to keep going into lonely depressive routes. You're actually creating it the more you spin on it. But I know it feels like you have no control. I'm going to show you the control. So stay with me. Back to you, Antonietta. So here's the event. You feel sad and alone right now, thinking about this situation from 20 years ago with your parents, the safe box money, and their relationship and fighting. Close your eyes for a moment. Where do you feel that in your body? Place your hands on your body. So she put it right in her throat, her.
Here, I feel it here, and like a heaviness here in my whole chest.
Very good. Yeah. Heaviness. Whenever someone says the heaviness somewhere in their body, that kind of identifies the cage of abuse, which is what this, my beautiful artistic self, this is supposed to be a cage. It's just what I see when it was downloaded to me, this technique. Okay. So you feel it in your chest there. Anywhere else? Is your hand anywhere else in your?
From my stomach to here.
Okay.
The whole.
So right up from her stomach, right up to her throat. So that is a pretty live wire in the today. If your stomach and throat could speak, close your eyes, Antonietta, what would it say right now?
Leave me alone.
Okay, great. Say that 3 times. I always have somebody say that 3 times because it brings up the feelings.
Yeah. Leave me alone, leave me alone, and leave me alone.
Now, everybody can probably hear, and Andy, you can probably hear some emotion there. So this is when I would say, Antonietta, breathe through your mouth, breathe through your mouth, exhale and inhale through your mouth. This is how you surf those waves of emotion. Emotion means energy in motion. Okay. So this is the feeling underneath the thought of sadness and loneliness related to this scenario that she talked about, up from her stomach to throat. Leave me alone. Here's where I do like a roar clearing statement, which is all psychic hooks, attacks, and cords to your mother, your father, and you in that situation, Antonietta, 20 years ago, that's coming up today, and today back to 20 years ago. Do I have your permission to cancel, clear, delete, and resolve this, and ask the creative energy that moves through all things to replace in every cellular memory of yours unconditional love through every muscle, ligament, cell, tendon, organ, and system of your body? Yes or no?
Yes, please.
Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. Now, what do you feel underneath that first, the leave me alone? What's there now?
It is like me crying a lot.
Yeah.
It is quite interesting because I say, leave me alone, and I feel myself alone. So
yes, here's what I want you to do. Close your eyes. Keep your mouth open like you were doing, Antonietta. You're being so courageous and so vulnerable. Thank you so much. And Andy, your energy is really helping just kind of move this as well. And everybody out there, this is what's underneath the immovable depression and loneliness, the immovable limitations that keep us in bed, that keep us not moving, that keep us stuffing our feelings, that keep us not doing what we know is the right thing to do. And it's innocuous too. This is something from 20 years ago, but it's really real in her body. So I want to say to all of you out there, it's really real in your body, but it's not, it doesn't have to be so real in your life. There is a way out. There is a way out. Okay, let's continue. Antonietta. So that crying inside of you, does it feel your current age or younger?
Younger, actually younger. It is like me really that, yeah, younger. I feel myself 20 years back, yeah.
20 years back. Okay, so close your eyes. Keep your hands on your body, please. You're doing great. Appreciate you going with me. Feel yourself, and this is number 3, guys. We asked, what is happening right now? Keep breathing, Antonietta. Where do I feel that in my body? I did some clearings, and now we're going back to the past. Where have I felt something like this before? We already know it was 20 years ago, but we're going to see what else comes up. So, Antonietta, please feel yourself getting younger and younger, littler and littler, smaller and smaller, to one of the first times in your life where you felt the same or similar experience as you gave to us today. Sad, alone, alone in yourself, crying inside. This stomach to your throat feeling, this want to scream out, leave me alone. And this fight between your mom and dad over money, and your dad telling you something your mom maybe didn't want you to know, or vice versa. Tell me what comes up to you: a time and age, a place, a person, a situation, a feeling. Go ahead.
It's like 5 years old. I was 5 years old, like speaking with my brother and like having a fight because of something we were playing, and then we discussed, and something related with a game, with a play, with a toy. Yeah.
Okay. And then where do you feel that in your body right now with your brother? In your hips?
Yeah.
Pelvis? Okay. Hips, pelvis. Okay. Close your eyes again. Be with your brother as if you're in that moment. Are you inside or outside? First thought, best thought. You know, your body knows. Outside. Okay, great. And you're fighting over this game. And what is the feeling in your body around your pelvis? Do you feel angry? Do you feel scared? Do you feel hurt? Do you
I feel very, yeah.
Okay, and if that anger could speak, what would it say?
Leave me alone. Want to be here also, yeah.
Leave me alone. So say that 3 times, please. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Leave
Close
me
your
alone.
eyes.
Leave me alone. Leave me
Now say
alone.
it in Spanish, since your first language is Spanish.
Déjame sola. Déjame sola. Déjame sola.
And I'm going to ask the universal energy to cancel, clear, delete, and resolve all psychic hooks, attacks, and cords between you and your brother and you from 5 until today, and today back to 5 of this anger. Remove the anger and replace with unconditional love. Permission?
Yes, yes,
Every
please.
muscle, ligament, cell, tendon, organ, and system of your body. So you said, leave me alone, and you don't want to be there. So what did you decide about yourself at 5 with your brother that you never knew until today?
I don't exist, or I don't want to exist, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't
I
exist.
don't want to be here. I don't exist. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to be here and I don't exist. So if
Yeah.
you decided that you don't want to be here and that you don't exist with your brother at age 5, how does that leave you sad and alone? There you go. It's okay. Breathe. It's okay. Breathe. And Andy, you can kind of see she's not even like the adult. It's more like a child crying right now. So we're doing a regression, but she is still the adult Antonietta. And this is the breakdown between the conscious and the subconscious for the healing. You okay, Antonietta? We can keep going? Good.
It is. I want to be with my brother, actually, and I want to be there.
Yes.
However, it's like I am angry, and that's why I want to disappear, something like that.
Okay. So
However, I want to be there.
I understand. So let me ask you this. Are you potentially carrying your brother's energy of how he didn't want you to be there?
Yes.
There you go. There you go. So,
yes.
So at 5, you learned, and this is the bottom of the sad and aloneness. She learned that for energetically, somewhere in her body, she didn't even know it consciously till right now, that for whatever reason, her brother didn't really want her to be there, want her to be, right? And that happens in siblings, in young ages with siblings. But when it never gets resolved, it stays with us. So if your brother didn't want you to be there, and you believe that that was about you, Antonietta, that you should disappear and not exist, what did you make that to mean about yourself and your existence? There, say that, the shrug. Yeah. My existence is,
Yeah.
Now, would that make you depressed and lonely to know that your existence is meh? I know
Yes.
it would for me. Because
it is like,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like silent sadness. It is like I don't get that this is actually depression. However, this is a sadness, a very silent sadness. Yeah.
Yeah. So this silent sadness of perhaps your brother not wanting you as a child, as you know, as a sibling, connects to the sadness and loneliness of your parents fighting and being worried about money. And therefore, it makes you feel sad and alone as a person and an individual in this family.
Yes, yes,
You're,
because I
Mhm.
was protecting my brother. I was protecting my brother because I didn't want to speak about this whole stuff with him. So it is like he was in me, or me protecting him, the whole stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Now you see what happened, Andy? She found her own insight and what made more sense to her. But she never knew this part, everybody, and she thought it was hers. How many of you believe that might not even ever thought that your depression might actually not be just yours? I carry 80 pounds of toxicity of my mother's anger, rage, fury, hate for decades. I don't have that literally on my body anymore. Seriously, you can look 10 years back and I'm a much heavier being body than I am now. When I really did some deep work with the Roar method, that weight just, I don't want to say it just fell off. I'm not saying magic pill. I had to work at it. But our resentments, our angers, our depressions, our loneliness, our limitations, they weigh on us. All the actions we know we should take or want to take, even in our business or career, and we don't do it, that weighs on us. All the things we get or don't get, say or don't say in our relationship weigh on us. All the way we're talked to that hurts us, it weighs on us. That creates loneliness and depression. That creates the cage of abuse. And the reason why I have a circle in here with an X is because at 5 years of age, in this one situation, what she's grappling with today, from the age of 5 until today, and you're a little older than 5 now, right?
Yes.
Right.
45 actually.
All right, so that's 4 decades. She's been carrying this for 4 decades, and just today did this door open for a new possibility. So you decided back then the X's, you don't exist, and that's what the whole cage of abuse is about. And that's what depression and loneliness, when it's something that becomes our whole life, it makes us escape life and not live. And then we make that about ourselves, but it's a lie. Your depression, your loneliness, and your cage of abuse has some root in what has never been spoken to. And we need to get underneath the conscious to get to the subconscious to move to this. We did what is happening right now. Where do I feel that in my body? What have I felt? Where have I felt something like this before? What did I decide about me? And now we're on what will I do to change this? So Antonietta, you became the protector. You took on your brother's feelings. You didn't want to bring it up to your family because they were already worried about all these other things. He was worried about what he was worried about. You just did the nice thing and just disappeared and escaped your life, but that kept you separate and alone from you. So what will you do to change this now, today, moving forward?
What I get right now is to connect more with my body, because I saw myself outside, and I also see why I perceive my body like not being me. It's not.
Yes.
It is easy to describe that. However, I feel the energy of getting more connection with my body.
Good. Now that's really important, Andy, and I know you know that, but it's also an Avaiya community. But why is that really important? Because when you are in the cage of abuse, you don't exist. That's the X. This is all a lie. It is what you feel, but it's what you put conclusions to your feelings about based on events. But once we start processing through it and energetically clearing it, then the 5-year-old who decided to leave her body can connect with the 45-year-old now today in her body, and then she can exist without the separation from self. It's like a soul communion with self. And then, so put one hand on your thymus, please, and one hand on your lower abdomen. Great. Breathe through your mouth and say, I've changed. I know I've changed, and I know I've changed because
I have changed. I know I have changed. I know I have changed because
Just go inside and give it a moment.
I love my body right now. I can enter to my body right now. I feel I do exist.
I exist. I love my body. I'm in my body right now. I'm with my body right now.
I am in my body and with my body right now.
Yeah, feel your feet on the floor, feel your back against the chair. And Andy, can you see a little bit like the solidity inside of her a little bit more than when she first started or was going through the example? Yeah, you did really great, Antonietta. So just breathe, feel your feet on the floor, feel your back against the chair. Just take a nice deep breath. Okay. I've changed. I know I've changed. And I know I've changed because I'm with myself, I'm in myself, I'm of myself, and I exist. I'm grateful, I'm fulfilled, and so it is. And just let all that energy fill every muscle, ligament, cell, tendon, organ, and system of your body. And how are you feeling now as compared to when we started the session?
I feel like fulfilled with myself. And I also feel that I love my family. I was I was not having this guilt or this angriness because I had that inside because I remember that and so on. I never imagined that stuff with 5 years old. I never imagined. So now I feel I feel fulfilled. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Now, Andy, I mean, I want to say some things to the people. I'm going to go over the questions again, but do you have any comments or questions or thoughts or?
I just want to commend Antonietta for her vulnerability. You did so amazing. Thank you so much. It's such a gift that you've given our Avaiya students to share your story and this process with everyone. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you also to you, Dr. Lisa. That was amazing.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. What I want to just remind everybody out in the world is the questions, and I have them on index card. What is happening right now? Can you all see that? That's the first one. What is happening right now? Where do I feel that in my body? Where have I felt something like this before? What did I decide about me? And what will I do to change this? These questions can move you out of whatever triggering event is going on for you and into the glimmers of hope that show you the possibility of continuing forward. And yes, Antonietta, I second what Andy said. You did wonderful. Thank you for you being you. Thank you for saying yes. And thank you. Because I always feel, Andy, that like, you know, I can talk about my method and whatever, but makes a lot more sense when, for me, like experientially, when I'm walking through with somebody about what we can do. And I have worked with a lot of people with depression, loneliness, sadness, anxiety, and little by little, cage by cage, they've been able to get up, get out, and live their life. Sometimes with medication, sometimes with getting off medication. It all works. The best thing I want to say to everybody out there is, or maybe not the best thing, but the most important thing is never give up. Never give up on yourself. Keep moving forward and keep achieving what you know is in your heart and soul to be in this world, whatever that is. Because depression, loneliness, anxiety, living under the covers is not your intrinsic blueprint. I can guarantee that. But I do know it happens to a lot of us. and myself included, I have not escaped being under the covers, fetal position, wanting not to be in the world. That is not the option. The option is, how do I move beyond this? And as long as you keep questioning that, you will always find a solution. I don't know how, I just know it will be.
Well, thank you. That is a beautiful insights there, and I too, I can personally relate. Also, so many of us can to, like you said, being under the covers. It's a great way to think about it and visualize that for people. Let's talk about how people can learn more about your work. How could they get to be working with you? I know you have a free gift below. That's a challenge, as well as your Embracing Your Roar program. Can you share about those?
Yes. So the 4Cs challenge is the free gift, and we have a lot of success with that. And it's actually a very simple program. It's a couple of days focusing on, and actually, Antonietta, I believe you took that some time ago, the 4Cs challenge. But it's just about choosing, committing, collaborating, creating. And what that means is when Antonietta, this is like the next part. This is like a brief part of the session, right? You know, there's more to the session, and it's the 4Cs comes next. So now that she's connected with her body, every day, we give you some little STEM sentences and little practices and PDFs, small bullet point written things to move you forward. So now if it was Antonietta in her body and she started the 4Cs challenge, it would be like, okay, what do I choose today with my body? Okay, how do I commit to that? What's the action? Universe, collaborate with me. That's the collaboration. Or who do I need to collaborate with me to get that done? And then create what you know you want to create that day. That's the 4Cs challenge. And to me, that's the movement, changing yourself in this reality after a session like this. Choose, commit, collaborate, create. That's the gift. And then also, to learn the fullness of the method, we have the Embrace Your Roar program, where I literally have a manual, PDFs, examples, a couple of different examples on relationships, health, and money specifically, and how to walk yourself through your own cage, out of your own cage, and live free. So enjoy.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, and everyone watching. The link to the 4Cs challenges below, as well as that Embracing Your Roar program to go deeper with Dr. Lisa. Do you have any last insight you'd like to leave with our community before we wrap up?
It's never too late to change. No matter what or who has diagnosed you or told you what you are or what you have or what you're taking, great. You have that, and always keep looking for something to keep you moving forward. You're not stuck. You're not limited. You are a vibrational being who has infinite energy and infinite joy inside of you somewhere. Just might have been covered up by the happenings. Life got lifey. And sometimes life can get really lifey. But if I can work through it, you can work through it. And that's coming from somebody who stood out in front of a bus at one point because I couldn't take the pain. Spoiler alert, I'm still here, not making fun about suicide because it's not a fun thing at all. But I was saved that night. And I said to myself, literally, there must be something else that I'm here to do. And that was over 30 years ago. And here I am, and I'm doing it. And you just saw it.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you for what you guys do there at Avaiya University, and for always being so welcoming, and also welcoming me to do this demo as well. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, our pleasure. And I want to thank you so much for the idea and your willingness to do it. And Antonietta, I thank you so much for being here as well. It's been so great to connect with you. And Avaiya students, thank you for joining us today on your healing journey. And we will see you all again very soon. Take care.
Thank you.